Hey guys, and welcome back to another deep dive Evercade completion review. And what's a completion review, you may ask? Which where I need to complete an Evercade game from start to finish. It doesn't matter how many save states I use, and it doesn't matter how many load states, just as long as I can complete the game before I do this review. And what game are we looking at today? Well, today we are doing Alligator Hunt from the Galeco Arcade Collection, cart number 3. Let's do this. Listen up, guys. Aliens have invaded, cities are burning, and chaos is reigning. And who's Earth's greatest hope? It's not elite soldiers, it's not government agents, not even a grizzled space marine. Nope, it's two teenagers on skateboards with high-powered weaponry and zero patience for planet-invading reptiles. Welcome to Alligator Hunt on the Evercade, an off-the-rails, retina-melting, adrenaline-soaked blast from the golden age of arcades. This isn't just another run and gun, it's a full-on throttle fight for survival with every stage cranked to 11 and every alien boss more outrageous than the last. You're grinding through rubble, launching missiles mid-kickflip and laying waste to mutant lizards, and you've got nothing to lose and everything to explode. The action, relentless. The visual, pure 90s arcade mayhem. And the soundtrack, let me just say that this slaps harder than a boss fight with no continues. It's loud, it's wild, and it's utterly ridiculous, and that's exactly why it rules. So fire up that Evercade, brace yourself for impact, and remember, when the world needs saving, sometimes it doesn't call those heroes in suits. Oh no, it calls the ones in sneakers. Let the hunt begin.
Party on!
Party on, Wayne!
Party on, Garth.
As always, we'll be looking at the story, sound, and gameplay, and a little later on I'll be letting you know my Evercade stats on how long it took me to complete Alligator Hunt. But before we do that, let's look at some interesting facts about the game and their creators. Let's go. Alright, before we go full laser blast on mutant reptiles, let's rewind the tape and talk Alligator Hunt's backstory, because this game's got more surprises than a lizard in a leather jacket. So who made this beautiful chaos? It wasn't Capcom, it wasn't Konami, nope, it was the Spanish studio called Galeco, straight out of Barcelona. These legends weren't just making churros, they were making arcade games with attitude. Released in 1994, Alligator Hunt took one look at games like Cabal and Blood Brothers and said vamos, and threw in skateboards, explosions, and alien lizards because why not? You play as teenagers with rocket launchers on skateboards fighting space reptiles. Now, if that's not peak 90s, I don't know what is. All is missing is a can of Surge and a Walkman. Now, here's the wild part about Alligator Hunt. This game is rarer than a polite boss fight. You are more likely to win a claw machine on the first try than see Alligator Hunt in the wild. And behind the madness was a full Spanish dream team. We're talking Luis Janama directing the mayhem, Joan Sanamati on music shredding guitar sounds like an arcade sonata, and a crew of artists and coders just going absolutely loco on the visuals. And get this, after all their hard work developing it, the game just vanished into arcade legend. And that was until Pico Interactive said, wait a minute, this game absolutely rocks, and rescued it from extinction, adding it to the Galeco Arcade 1 collection for the Evercade. Boom! Now we can blast mutant reptiles from our couch in glorious handheld form. It's part space invasion, part skateboard rebellion, but all parts ridiculous, and I mean that in the best way possible. Alright folks, so strap yourselves in because Alligator Hunt's story is crazier than a roux on a pogo stick. So here's the stitch. Earth gets invaded. But it's not your usual aliens with fancy lasers or big space robots. Nope, it's alien alligators. Yeah, those scaly, toothy nightmares just took a wrong turn at the swamp and decided to crash the party on planet Earth. Now, instead of sending in an elite squad of commandos or a battalion of giant mech suits, what does humanity do? We send in two teenagers on skateboards. I mean, sure, what else would you do? Send in a couple of bored kids with attitude, some oversized guns, and zero time to lose. So why the heck does Earth's survival come down to two teenagers on skateboards instead of, say, a full-on military assault? Well, imagine this. The army shows up all serious and suited up, ready for action, ready to strategize and plan, and then one of these alien alligators sneaks up and bites off their tanks. Yeah, not too great. Plus, these aren't your everyday gators. We're talking cosmic mutant space reptiles who don't care about rules, regulations, or red tape. They're fast, fierce, and frankly way too weird for the usual soldier routine. Enter Cider and Glob, two skateboarding legends with one thing the army doesn't have: attitude. They don't wait for orders, they don't need a mission briefing, they just grab their rocket launchers and roll out. Literally. Plus, look at the routes in this game. You're bombing through busy city streets, dodging traffic and blasting alien freaks in tight urban chaos. The army's tanks? Not exactly street friendly. Then you blast into a mutant-infested base. It's claustrophobic, it's tricky terrain, again, it's not prime tank or troop territory. And finally, we go to outer space. No boots on the ground, just rocket-fueled skateboards and laser blasters. Okay, and let's just pause it there for a second, because I've got a feeling I know what you're thinking. You're saying, wait, these two kids are skateboarding pros, but why on earth do they know how to pilot a spaceship? Well, when the alien alligators invaded, the government's spaceship manuals got lost somehow between top secret and whoops, that's classified. So who steps up? These two kids who once built a killer ramp out of old skateboards and duct tape. If they can nail a kickflip over a fire hydrant, surely they can figure out a few buttons on a spaceship console, right? Besides, these aren't your typical kids. These are basically the MacGyvers of the 90s arcade world. Give them a joystick and some blinking lights and they'll have that ship zooming through space faster than you can say cowabunga.
Cowabunga. Huh?
Also, the spaceship probably has a manual called How to Fly for Dummies, and guess who's holding that manual? Yep, these two. It's clear the army would have been way too slow going through all that red tape, and these kids just skate in, fire off rockets, and don't stop for anyone, not even a giant space alligator. So humanity's like, forget protocols, give us these kids who's got the coolest moves and the loudest guns. And honestly, that's the only sensible call they made. Your mission? Skate hard, shoot harder, and make those mutant space gators wish they stayed in their swamp. You'll be bombing through city streets like you own them, blasting through alien bases with more explosions than a fireworks factory, and then, because why not, hitting the outer space stage for an intergalactic showdown. So grab your rocket launcher, tighten your shoelaces, and get ready to shred the gators of the galaxy into cosmic confetti with all the style and firepower of a Saturday morning cartoon on turbo. Let's take a look at the sound. Alright, strapping, because the sound in Alligator Hunt, it's like a roller coaster ride for your ears and you're in the front seat screaming the whole way. First up, the weapons. Man, oh man, these rockets don't just go boom, they go kaboom, kapow, boom! Like a fireworks factory and a monster truck rally had a baby, and that baby is totally hyped up on caffeine. Every time you blast an alien alligator, you get this glorious mix of explosions, weird alien squirrels, and the sound of your own wild skateboarding wheels squeaking like they're begging for mercy. It's chaotic, it's noisy, and it's perfect. Now, these alligator growls and roars, they're not just scary, they're like your angry swamp uncle waking up from a Monday morning. You half expect them to say, "Hey, who put this spaceship in my backyard?" But what I love about the sound the most is the music, and oh, that music is amazing. It's the turbocharged synth-heavy 90s arcade anthem that's basically the soundtrack to skateboarding through an alien apocalypse. It's got enough energy to power a small city, or at least a very angry gator. And don't forget the little touches, the clinks and clanks when you land a trick, the alien beeps that sound like they're trying to communicate in some weird cosmic Morse code, and that explosive boink when you accidentally crash your spaceship, which happens more than you think. Seriously, the sound design isn't just background noise, it's the game yelling at you to keep going, keep blasting, and never ever stop skating. If your ears aren't having a blast here, folks, then you aren't playing Alligator Hunt. The electrifying soundtrack of Alligator Hunt was composed by Joan Sanamati, a Spanish musician renowned for their dynamic contributions to arcade games during the 90s. Their compositions are celebrated for their energetic guitar riffs and synthesizer-driven melodies, which perfectly complement the game's fast-paced action and over-the-top gameplay. Cinemati's work on Alligator Hunt is notable for its use of digitized guitar sounds, delivering a rock-infused soundtrack that enhances the game's high-octane atmosphere. This approach was somewhat unconventional for the arcade games of that era, setting Alligator Hunt apart from its contemporaries. Their compositions have been praised for their ability to capture the game's chaotic energy and contribute to its lasting appeal among retro gaming enthusiasts. Beyond Alligator Hunt, Cinemati also composed music for other Gayalco titles including Thunderhoop in 1992 and Smashing Drive in 2002, showcasing their versatility and enduring influence in the world of video game music. Cinemati's contributions have left a lasting impression on the arcade gaming scene, and their music continues to resonate with fans who appreciate the unique blend of rock and electric elements that defined Alligator Hunt's auditory experience. Let's take a look at the gameplay. Alright, buckle up because Alligator Hunt is one wild ride and it's an off-the-rails shooter for a very good reason. First off, let me explain what an on-the-rails shooter is. It's basically like being strapped into a crazy roller coaster. The game says you're going to go this way and you're just in charge of blasting everything in sight. No steering, no hiding, just boom, 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 non-stop action. And Alligator Hunt kind of does this, but it's an off-the-rails shooter. So you can still move your character left and right while you're shooting absolutely everything on the screen. And it adds a little bit more dynamic because you can dodge out of the way from incoming fire. And it's intense. And this style of shooter just works perfectly for Alligator Hunt. These alien mutant gators don't mess around, they're fast and they're furious, and they're basically the worst neighbors you could have. So the game says, hey, don't worry about slowpoke tactics, kid, let's just go. You're zooming through these wild city streets, dodging explosions, skating past burning cars, and firing off rocket launchers like it's a Black Friday for gator hunters. This style of gameplay let the game designers go full Hollywood blockbuster. I'm talking explosions everywhere, surprise enemy attacks from all angles, and giant mutant gators popping up like they own the place. You're basically the star of your own sci-fi action movie, except your skateboard is your getaway car and the soundtrack is one pumping 90s arcade synth. And here's the cool bit. At the end of every level, Alligator Hunt throws down the gauntlet with a brutality meter. This baby tells you exactly how much chaos you unleashed. Were you a polite space ranger or did you turn those mutant gators into cosmic jelly with maximum style? The brutality meter shows off your inner space warrior. How many rockets you fired, how many tricks you pulled off while blasting aliens, and how much mayhem you actually caused. It's like getting a report card, but instead of grades, it's how much did you wreck this place. And trust me, you want that meter to go all the way up to total destruction, because in Alligator Hunt, the messier, the better. So yeah, the off-the-rails shooter isn't just a gameplay choice, it's the perfect way to keep the action non-stop, the enemies freaking out, and you skating and blasting your way to glory. And with that brutality meter watching your back, it's a total arcade win. Now let's talk about your weapons, because in Alligator Hunt, you're not just skating around looking cool, you're packing some serious heat. First off, you've got your trusty basic blaster. It's like a water pistol compared to the rest, but hey, everyone's got to start somewhere, right? You'll be shooting those mutant gators with little bursts of pew-pew until you find something a bit more explosive. Enter the power-ups. These bad boys are scattered around every levels like candy, except instead of sugar, they're loaded with rockets, laser guns, and other crazy stuff that turns you from skateboard kid to space warrior extraordinaire. Pick up those rocket launchers and suddenly you're at the fireworks show. Rockets are flying everywhere, explosions blow up the scenery, and maybe a few unsuspecting aliens, and you feel like you've just got handed the keys to Destruction City. There's also laser guns that zap enemies with precision. Think of it as the ultimate laser tag, but with way higher stakes. Now these power-ups don't just make you stronger, they make the game more ridiculous in the best way possible. Explosions get bigger, the chaos gets louder and you get to pull off insane combos that feel like a fireworks show on a rocket-powered skateboard. So keep your eyes peeled and grab every power-up you can and unleash as much destruction as possible, because in Alligator Hunt, the bigger the boom, the better the party. Now here's the funny thing. So you start off grinding and flipping on a skateboard because, of course, that's how every epic alien battle begins, right? Nothing says space hero like a kid on wheels. Then bam, suddenly you're piloting a spaceship. Yep, it's like the game just said, alright, time to up the stakes now, but hey, we're not going to make you learn new controls. So now you're in this amazing spaceship and the controls, they stay exactly the same. Whether you're skating through the streets or zooming through outer space, you're still pointing your blaster, dodging enemies, and shooting all the things. Easy. As the game goes on, you start getting missions with multiple objectives. Alien gator spaceships, weird space goo, basically anything that looks like it wants to wreck your day. But here's the kicker, not much really changes on how you play it. You just keep destroying everything you see. It's chaos, but it's your kind of chaos. Point, shoot, blast, and repeat. So don't expect complicated spaceship piloting lessons or crazy new mechanics. Nope, this is just pure, unfiltered blasting fun. That's whether you're rolling on 4 wheels or flying through the stars.
Flying! Jack!
Now, I paid $36.94 for this card, but we can't say that because we're only reviewing Alligator Hunt, and this card had 6 games on it. So for the purposes of this review, we're saying that I spent $6.15, meaning for me to get my $10 per hour equation, I'll need to play and complete this game in longer than 37 minutes. And I can successfully say that I did this, completing the game in 1 hour and 3 minutes. I had a play count of 1, I did not use any load counts, and I had a save count of 2. So this equates that I got $5.86 per hour of value from this game, which is a bargain in my books. Now strap in, Space Cowboys, because now it's time for my review on Alligator Hunt. Let's do this. Let's take a look at the story. So the story gets a 5 out of 10 from me. It's got that classic Stranger Things vibe to it. A bunch of kids suddenly thrown into saving the world from alien mutant gators. Honestly, it's a bit cliche, but then that's part of the charm. Who doesn't love watching kids take on an apocalypse instead of, the actual army? Alligator Hunt doesn't really dive into why the alien mutant gators decided to invade Earth. It's more about the fast-paced action of blasting them away than the deep backstory. So basically, you get lots of chaos, explosions, and mutant gators everywhere, but no big alien manifesto explaining their grand evil plan. Sometimes the aliens just want to crash the party and cause a mess, But here's what really cracks me up. These kids must have some serious background in weaponry. Like, how else do you explain a bunch of skateboarding kids suddenly knowing how to man rocket launchers, laser guns, and spaceships? Did they all have secret Saturday morning classes called Alien Annihilation 101? Or maybe their school's aftercare program is just a cover for an advanced military training ground. Either way, it's hilarious to imagine these kids casually pulling off combos and firing off rockets like they've been doing it since recess. Meanwhile, the actual army's probably still figuring out how to turn on the coffee machine. The story doesn't dive too deep into this, but hey, sometimes you just gotta roll with it. Enjoy the ride and imagine these kids are basically pint-sized space warriors with a knack for chaos. So after watching these skateboarding kids totally annihilate alien mutant gators with rocket launchers and spaceships, you've gotta wonder, what's the army actually thinking? Picture it, the army brass sitting in their fancy chairs watching these kids blast everything to bits on some grainy security footage. And instead of gearing up themselves, they're probably like, yeah, nah, let these kids handle this one. They've got the style, the moves, and honestly, they're making us look slow. Maybe the generals are scratching their heads thinking, how do these kids know how to handle rocket launchers better than us or our elite troops? Did we miss a secret recruitment drive at the skate park? So in a hilarious twist, the army just decides to sit back, sip their coffee, and let these pint-sized space warriors save the day. Because honestly, who can argue with results like that? Let's take a look at the sound. Alright, listen up. The sound in Alligator Hunt absolutely earns an 8 out of 10, and honestly, it deserves a standing ovation for how it cranks up the energy. This isn't some quiet background noise situation. Nope, this is a blast your speakers to 11 territory. From the sound effects to your blaster shots to the earth-shaking booms of the rockets and explosions, every sound effect hits with a satisfying punch that makes you feel like you're right in the middle of an intergalactic showdown. It's the kind of audio that makes you want to lean into the chaos and not hide from it. And that soundtrack, oh man, that retro synth beats and driving rhythms just don't quit. They keep the pace fast and the adrenaline high and the fun cranked all the way up. It's like a non-stop sci-fi dance party with the dance moves involve blasting alien gators to smithereens. Seriously, you've got to crank your speakers up to 11 when you play this. Or better yet, throw on some headphones and lose yourself in the soundscape. The audio perfectly matches the game's wild, fast-paced action and makes every second feel like a high-stakes battle for Earth's survival. Sure, some sounds loop a little bit, but when the energy is this infectious, it just adds to the hypnotic rhythm of blasting through waves of enemies. The sound design doesn't just support the gameplay, it fuels it, making Alligator Hunt a total ear candy fest that keeps you coming back for more every time you play this. And you'll play it a lot. It has lots of replay value. Let's take a look at the gameplay. For the gameplay, I'm giving Alligator Hunt a solid 7 out of 10. And here's why. This game is pure mayhem, and that's exactly what makes it so darn fun. From the moment you start, you're thrown into this non-stop chaos, blasting mutant gators, dodging enemy fire, and watching explosions light up the screen like it's the 4th of July. It's fast, it's loud, and it never lets up. If you're the kind of player who loves jumping straight into the action without wasting time on complicated controls or tutorials, this game has your name written all over it. Speaking of the controls, they're surprisingly smooth and super easy to pick up. Whether you're aiming your blaster or dodging enemy attacks, everything feels responsive and tight. There's no frustrating learning curve, which means you can just jump in, get blasting, and start causing chaos immediately. It's one of those games where you spend less time figuring out how to play and more time actually playing. Replayability is another big win here, folks. Each run feels fresh enough to keep you coming back, especially with the variety of weapons and power-ups to grab. You can aim for that high brutality meter to see just how much destruction you can unleash, or just go wild trying to fry every mutant gator that crosses your path. The constant action and chaotic fun make it hard to put down. Sure, the gameplay loop can get a little bit repetitive after a while, but with smooth controls, instant pick up and play action, and tons of mayhem, Alligator Hunt keeps you hooked for plenty of sessions. So yeah, a 7 out of 10 for a fast-paced shooter that's all about pure no-fuss fun and letting you be that one-kid army blasting through waves and waves of alien chaos. So overall, I'm giving Alligator Hunt a solid 7 out of 10. It's a surprisingly fun blast of non-stop mayhem. From the moment you start blasting mutant alien gators, the game keeps the action pumping and your fingers glued to the trigger. The mayhem is wild, explosions everywhere, enemies swarming, and chaos on screen that somehow never feels overwhelming. It's a perfect mix of frantic fun and just enough challenge to keep you hooked. One of the best parts, the game runs on the Evercade like butter. Seriously, smooth controls, zero lag, and buttery slick gameplay that makes blasting through levels feel incredibly satisfying. No fumbling or slowdowns here, just pure fast-paced action. Since making this review, I've already gone back to play it multiple times. That's the real sign of a game that's got replayability locked down. If you want a high energy, easy to pick up shooter with tons of mayhem and buttery smooth performance on the Evercade, Alligator Hunt is definitely worth checking out. And honestly, I just wish it wasn't the last time we saw these two cool kids. They've got the skills, the gear, and the attitude to keep blasting through another world of alien invasions. Someone please give them a sequel or at least a skate park cameo so I can come back and enjoy that also. Thank you so much for watching another deep dive Evercade completion review. Please remember to give me a like, subscribe, and comment down below because I love reading your comments and it keeps me engaged with the community. If there is a particular game that you want me to review on the Evercade, also hit me up, leave that in the comments because I'll try and make that happen if I haven't reviewed it already. And as always, stay odd, stay awesome, and we'll see you next time on another episode of The Odd Socks. See you guys.